less lethal contingencies. Alan here. So today I am going to test the Mercury Rise TR50 Torpedo with the modified cylinder magazine that I modified last evening with some JB Weld steel stick product. And hopefully it's going to hold up for a while. Right now it seems to be holding up pretty good, but we'll see how it holds up in the long term. Essentially, the Mercury Rise TR50 Torpedo, which is this gun here, okay, very similar to the Umerix TR50. However, one major difference is that it has a cylinder magazine that's twice as deep and takes various ammunition, some torpedo ammunition, spikes, different things are out there that you can shoot out of these, homemade ammunition, you know, that sort of thing. For today's test, we will be shooting the AR Tactical 4-gram Joules, 50 caliber 4-gram Joules. But one of the issues that you have with the torpedo that was discovered, for most of us have discovered, that own a torpedo and love our torpedoes, but one of the negatives to it was that when they designed the cylinder mag, it has these mock cutouts in it, for lack of a better term. I'm not sure what the technical term is for these. You know, you have one here, they don't even line up with the one on the mock cylinder, but the actual, let me take the magazine back out, has these here. Now, if you'll notice where these cutouts are to make it look like a typical revolver design, they really should have had it be all smooth, uniformed, and not had those, because it makes the area right there in between shots, in between the ammunition, really thin, which is allowing air pressure to escape out. So not all that air pressure is pushing the round straight into the barrel and down through the barrel. Some of that air pressure is coming back and slipping through here. You can actually feel it, especially under the higher pressures when you shoot in high pressure air. You can actually feel it come back in some instances, especially if you don't have a really good barrel seal. Just like the TR50 revolver made by Umerix, this Mercury Rise product as well has a floating barrel that has a spring on it, and you really need to make sure that you got good drag, or else your cylinder mag will not rotate properly. But more importantly, if it's not tight enough, it won't make a really good seal. Throw into the mix the fact that you have these cutouts where it's really an area where it's really thin, that poses a problem. So I got this idea from Jeff at Home Defense, Less Lethal Home Defense. He had done a similar thing. I don't know, honestly, how well what the fix he came up, how lasting it was. But rather than going with a resin, I think he used some kind of resin. It gave me an idea to try, rather than resin, to try this JB Weld steel stick product, which is kind of like it's almost like a putty. It's got two pots, and you're squeezing around with your fingers until you work it all and make it a uniform color, and then it sets up rather quickly. So I use some of that, and as you can see, now these spots for the most part are thicker. You don't have that there. So the idea is hopefully that will help keep some of that air pressure and channel it where it's supposed to go, which is to push the round down the barrel, and hopefully you won't get any of that back air pressure. Okay, so he had some success, according to one of his videos I saw. He had some success with it, and I believe he had a feet per second increase by not having that air pressure wasting back at you, or shooting back at you, out of these little wells. I guess we'll call them wells. Okay, so that's the difference you have there. Okay, again, I suspect this will will definitely help the situation. Whether it will correct it 100%, I don't know. And also, how long will this stuff last? Um, I know with the resin that Jeff used, I think it looked like he was having trouble with maybe it adhering properly and to the plastic, and I don't think it was lasting long for him. We'll see if the steel stick product by JB Weld works better. Ideally, I'd love to see someone, which I've looked and I can't find anyone that prints these, but what would be perfect would be if somebody could 3D print these cylinder mags for the torpedo, but print them without, just print them flat. Like you've seen those revolvers that have the nice flat cylinders. They look really sharp too. Just just do away with this completely and print it flat. Anybody out there that's got a 3D printer is up to the challenge. I can tell you, you'd have one customer right here, at least, um, if you can print one of these, and then we could reuse the metal insert here, just like we do with the TR50. I know there's guys out there that print out the different colored, like I got a couple of red TR50 cylinder mags. I bought those from a guy that prints them. At least I assume they do. Haven't seen anybody else carry them, so I assume they're printed. They look like they're printed. So if anybody out there is willing to be up to challenge, I think that would be the best thing long term for these, would be to print it, but without these channels in there. But in the meantime, I'm going to test this out now. I'm going to shoot 6 rounds of the 4-gram joules first out of the regular factory magazine, right? Cylinder magazine. And then after I'm done doing that, I'm going to be using 1000 psi HPA through the back rear ASA. And then after that, I'm going to shoot another 6 with this modified JB Weld steel stick modified magazine. And we'll see what we get for a difference. So we'll figure it out, right? So let's air it up first. Again, we have the Mercury Rise TR50 Torpedo, okay? I also have modified my torpedo with an HDP tuning barrel with the 4-inch tuning barrel extension. I also reamed it out so I could shoot the larger steel ball bearings out of it. However, today, for this test, we're going to be using the 4-gram joules for this test. All right. It's my 1000 psi 9CI tank with the slide check from AR Tactical. And we have it pumped up to about 3000 psi capacity. I still haven't checked the batteries on that darn thing. I'm hoping it's just batteries, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to be using the X-Radar today. All right, I'm going to screw this slide check 1000 psi bottle in. There we go. I haven't aired this gun up in, oh, you know what? I haven't aired it up in a good while. I better shoot some silicone in here. And hopefully I don't have any leaks. The last time I shot it, it was leak free. I also fixed that stutter or auto fire I was getting. It turned out to be the what I believed to be the incorrect firing pin in it. It was super small. I ended up putting an Umarex TR50 firing pin, a stock length in there, and it corrected my problems. So hopefully none of that, at least it did correct my problems then. I'm hoping I don't have any further issues with it. But I'm pretty sure I shot it on 1000 psi HPA before, so it could be a little dry in here, so don't want to skip the lubrication part. Put some silicone lubricant. Let that run in there a little bit. We'll air it up. Hope for the best here. There we go. Air it up. At first I heard a slight little hiss, but it's gone now, so we're gonna run with this. I was gonna shoot through it anyways, because if it ain't a bad enough leak, you shoot through it. All right, so we have it aired up. First, we're going to do the 4 gram, six rounds of the Air Tactical 4 gram. We'll do that first. This way we get something to measure the second part of the test by. All right, we're gonna do it with the tuning barrel on, with the 4-inch tuning barrel extension. I have good resistance on here. I can see my barrel moving up and down. I like to do this. You can see it kind of jump around up and down. That's a good sign that you got the barrels floating properly. All right, so we're gonna shoot 6 of these. Well, this is it's actually a little on the short side. It looks pretty cool, but a little short actually. That's because I don't have a big on and off over here. All right, we're going to get some feet per second out of this. And turn the laser on. Hopefully this thing's still accurate. And yeah, all right, so this is with the factory cylinder magazine. Mag 1 factory cylinder magazine, shot 1. 530 feet per second. 530 feet per second. Wow, I don't remember this gun being that loud. I might need ear protection, I don't know. Yeah, let's so 530 feet per second, that's with the 4 gram. I am going to put some air protection in. Holy cow. That's a lot louder than the BP50, I'll tell you that. Didn't ring my ears, but it's right on the verge of ringing my ears, so. All right, that was shot 1. 530 feet per second. I'm going to go with shot number 2. 512 feet per second. Shot number 2, 512. Shot number 3. 454 feet per second. Shot number 4. 462 feet per second. Shot number 5. 486 feet per second. And the last one, shot number 6. Nice thing again about the torpedo is you can actually see in these grooves right here, you can see how many rounds you have left. Especially if they're ball bearings because they're shiny here. All right, shot number 6, factory magazine. 490 feet per second. Okay, it's all 6 of the 4 gram Air Tactical Joules, 4 gram Joules. I think our high number was 530 feet per second. I got joules all around me. All right, now we're going to load up another 6 rounds of the 4 gram joules in the cylinder that has been modified. Spin it around. So the barrel goes up and down. Barrel's still floating nice. Everything feels good, feels normal. Let's check what we have for pressure left. Wow, we used a lot of air pressure. I forgot this thing's double deleted and then some. It's completely drilled out in here, so this whole handle area where it used to be a 12 gram cartridge is now basically, it's just an expansion area for the air to expand into. You can't shoot this with CO2 through the handle any longer. So it's been all drilled out and valve blocks been removed, all that stuff. So it's like double deleted and then some. We're sitting at 1,000 PSI. So I wasn't expecting to use nearly 2,000 PSI for 6 rounds, especially for 4 gram rounds. I forgot how much of an air hog these things were. I'm going to stop the test and I'll splice in we'll continue the test once I have a chance to fill this bottle up, because I don't think it's going to be an accurate test if I don't do that and I don't have another 1,000 psi tank with a slide check and everything, and I want this to be an accurate test. So what I'm going to do is degas, and we are going to pump this back up, but I'm going to save you guys the noise of listening to my compressor for the next, I don't know, 5 minutes it takes to pump it up. So I'll be back after these messages. All right, part 2, we're back. All right, so I pumped up the bottle, my 9 CI tank with the slide check, 1,000 psi output tank. I pumped it back up to 3,000. Okay, because we managed to drain with 6 rounds, 4-gram rounds, we managed to drain 2,000 psi capacity the first time. So I needed to pump it back up. This way everything's going to be the same. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we will try the modified cylinder mag, the one that I modified with JB Weld steel stick. And let me air it up again. Let's throw some more lubrication in here, because that was a lot of air. Lots and lots and lots of air that we just pushed through this baby. All right. This is a air hog. Yes, it is. All right, let's go ahead. It's unloaded. This is off. We use this to degas, but we don't have to in this instance because this slide check's got the built-in degas. These things are beautiful. They're wonderful tanks. All right, here we go. All right, heard the bolt activate. No leaks at all this time. I had a little slight leak the first time, if you recall, but it did clear up on its own, so we're good there. I am going to put my ears back in because this thing is pretty loud when you're powering it from 1,000 psi HPA. All right. We are taking the modified cylinder mag with 6 rounds, 4-gram AR tactical joules. And we're going to put this back in there. All right. Barrel's still floating. I got the proper resistance on the cylinder mag. All right. Looks pretty cool actually with that JB Weld, because it's kind of like a dark gray color. Doesn't look bad. We'll see how durable the stuff is. All right, so magazine 2 of the 4-gram ammo with the Mercury Rise TR50 Torpedo with the tuning barrel and tuning barrel extension. And let's see what we get for feet per second. We'll use the X radar with the laser on. All right, shot 1. 470 feet per second. 470. And my auto fire problem kind of came back. This thing was auto fire free. And but I don't know if I ever shot it with a slide check tank before, so there's really no resistance in between here at all. But as you can hear, man, it sounded like a bloody machine gun. And it looks like I lost, well, I lost 2. They look like little fingernails, 2 of the JB Weld things. So it is problematic finding something that will bond to the plastic. I mean, maybe I can find some kind of bonding promoter to put on first and try it again. I'll have to research that. Um, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep firing it because I do have a few. I lost 2 of these. I still have, what, 4? 4 on here. You can see. Hey, I lost that one. And I lost that one there. And I only shot one. I know it sounds like it shot rapid fire, but that's kind of impossible because it's a revolver. So that ain't gonna happen. All right. So let's figure out where my empty is. There's my empty. All right. Now the next one that came out, the air must have got under it somehow and blew it right out. So that shot's not going to be helpful. So I'm going to rotate past the one that's missing the modification to the next one that's got, actually, when I rotate it, yeah. All right, so that one's gonna, when I pull the trigger, it's gonna rotate this way, and then it should be the sealed one. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to figure this out because I don't really want to record the feet per second on the spots that the mod blew out. I want to continue to see if I can get some readings on this so I can at least validate the feet per second increase, if any. So I think when I pull the trigger, this one's going to rotate there, but we're going to lose air on that side, so I don't want to do that. So if I leave it here and pull the trigger, then that's going to give us blocking here and blocking there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate it back once. All right, so we're going to take like 2 more shots. We won't be able to shoot all 6 and have the benefit of the modification because 2 of the modification pieces blew right out of it from that air pressure. I guess it just blew back. All right, so hell, what was that? Shot 1? I think it was just the first shot. Yeah, there's the other piece right here. There's my dog barking. There's the other piece. All right. So at least we'll validate whether it's going to help the feet per second. So this is going to be shot 2. I think we're only going to be able to do like 3 shots, 4 shots maybe. All right, here's, and hopefully we don't have another auto fire. Now the tank pressure dropped a lot. We only got about 2,000 PSI. All right, 2,000 PSI, shot number 2 with the modified cylinder magazine. .450 feet per second. That's definitely an increase over the unmodified cylinder magazine. The highest we had, I think, was 430. So that's 450. And I lost another 2 pieces. And it auto-fired again. So, I don't... The slide check, 1,000 PSI with no restriction in here, basically no restriction, is too much for the bolt spring on this gun. So I'll have to do, next time I do a series of tests, I'm going to have to use one of my tanks with a gog on and off, or maybe that new flip push on and off that I have, something that's going to put some restriction in there. Because clearly she's auto firing, at least from a fresh tank anyways. Now we're just a little bit below 2,000 PSI. So I lost 2 more of these. Two more of those. All right. I'm down to 2. I got 2 left. So I'm going to shoot. Let's see when it goes that way. I got 2 left. I can strategically adjust the cylinder mag so that when it does fire, I think when I go to fire this one, yeah, I'll still have a mod there and a mod there. So I'm going to rotate it back one step. I should be able to shoot one more time and see what we get. Okay, and then after that, I'll just have to kill the test, I guess. They're not holding up. Surprise, surprise. I really think the best way is for somebody to be able to, somebody that's got a 3D printer, if they can print out a Mercury Rise TR50 Torpedo, torpedo revolver cylinder magazine that doesn't have these grooves in them, you know, just a flat cylinder going around. If we could, somebody out there could print that, take on that challenge, let me know. Let me know. And I'll tell you, I'll be your first customer. There'd probably be a couple of us behind me, I'm sure, that wouldn't mind being first customer. Or second or third. All right, so we should be able to shoot one more time. Again, I don't know if I'm going to get auto fire. Now I'm down to a little less than 2,000 PSI. But clearly this slide check without any resistance in there, it's too much for this torpedo bolt spring the handle. So here we go. This will be technically shot 3, I believe, with the modified cylinder mag. Shot 3. 522 feet per second. Okay, 522. So that's about it. That's all I'm going to get out of this thing. Anyways, I was really hoping that this was going to be more durable. It felt durable because I was sanding it. And I was able to sand it because naturally when you put the JB Weld steel stick, it's like a putty. Push it in there, you're working around and you have to work it. And so once it's set up, 24 hours, it was hard enough for me to be able to file, and I used the file to file it down, make it look nice, right? It looked good. It looked pretty freaking nice, actually, I think. But I'm gonna double check if I get air in here. No air in here, so that slide check did a good job. Yeah, did a good job, that slide check. So that's it's now a unmodified factory magazine again, because they just all blew right the hell off. That's how much air pressure is going through there, plus probably some vibrations too, no doubt, from the you know, the magazine turning. I had fired it and cycled it around, and it was holding up really nice, no problem. So between any vibration from the bolt activation and blowing those rounds through, and even more so just the air pressure, 1,000 psi, it's blowing these things off like it's losing its fingernails. That's what it's doing. So we got a whole whopping 1,400 psi left on in this thing. It's gonna have to be pumped up before I can use it again. But that's gonna basically be the end of today's test, because I no longer, here's the other two, because I have lost my fingernails. Never really had it anyways, but whoop. All right. So it doesn't look like, again, I'm not going to call this modification a total bust, because maybe I can find a product, some sort of like product that I can put on first to help this material bond to the plastic. If I can find that, then maybe I can continue to use the JB Weld steel stick, because it wasn't that tough doing this. You know, you took some time filing it down to make it look nice, you know, but it really wasn't a huge challenge or difficult to do with that steel stick product. And it's good and hot. It's a bonding issue. It's just not bonding to that plastic as well as I was hoping it would. It bonds really good to aluminum, because that's what I use to mount on my Stormtrooper build. I use that steel stick to bond the aluminum heating element to the Umric cylinder adapter when I had built the Stormtrooper build. Anyways, with the preheater. CO2 preheater. Spit it out, Alan. Spit it out. So I know it bonds really well to that aluminum, but maybe that aluminum's more porous, you know. Um, I wasn't subjecting it to a lot of heat though, and it held up just fine because the stuff's high heat rated. But that air pressure between it must have just been the air pressure. Maybe it doesn't take much between the vibration and air pressure. It just blew these off. So, but I believe, yeah, I got all 246, all 6 of those babies right there. But it was a good test because I was able to capture feet per second, unmodified and modified. Not all 6 rounds naturally because these started coming off pretty quick, but I was able to at least get 3 rounds fired with the modified, with blocking that air. And that's with auto fire. I mean, all but what? First 2 shots I had auto fire. The 3rd shot, there was no auto fire. But again, that bolt spring cannot handle it. So I do believe my original problem I had before with my regular 13 CI tanks that had restriction because of the on and offs I was using. But with this slide check one, no on and off, you know, no restriction essentially. I think it was definitely overcoming that factory bolt spring big time. Again, causing the auto fire. So that is it, guys. That is the test. And again, hey, shout out to anybody that's got a 3D printer. If you can find the specs, I don't even know if they have a file out there already for one of these. I haven't seen anybody selling them. Or if you know of somebody that's 3D printing these, if they can modify the spec to get rid of these grooves in here in the cylinder mag. I'm sure there's an official name for those. I'm not sure what it is, but these little grooves right here, if this could be printed all one piece, no grooves, then we wouldn't be losing all that air pressure through here, and we'd be getting much higher feet per second out of this gun. This gun would be a beast. I mean, it's probably a beast as it is now with HPA, especially double deleted, using that handle chamber as an air expansion chamber. It's a beast now. I mean, look at 2,000 psi for 6 rounds. Like, good grief, it's a total beast. We'll see what those numbers end up running. I'm sure I'm in the 50s, maybe higher, I would think, for joules, for even with these 4 grams. I would think anyways, but by the time you watch this, it'll be updated in the video. So I've rambled on long enough. Again, anybody out there's got a 3D printer, if there's a challenge for you, see if you can 3D print one of these for the torpedo without these grooves. Now you're gonna need these grooves in here, these notches, because that's how the cylinder makes its way around, right? But these are the grooves I'm talking about right here, because that's where the air is escaping. It's acting like a little on ramp. It's just back pressure right out, and you can feel the air hit you in the face. It's and you're losing all that pressure. So anyways, we'll have our numbers to I know we dropped, I mean, if I go, I think the highest was 530 feet per second unmodified, and then I had I think the highest I had modified from the modified mag was 550. So we gained 20 feet per second with this modification. What's that going to translate into joules? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll have the math updated by the time you watch it. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great evening. Peace out.